Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you're listening around the world. This is Sedona Talk Radio.
Welcome. You're listening to Now That's What I'm Talking About. Just sit back and relax for the next full hour as my guest and I take you on a dynamic and informative journey. Positive Talk Radio for the 21st century and beyond. Hi everyone, I'm Louisa Vaney, your host for the next power-packed hour. Tonight's program is brought to you by Ellen George, Power Reviewer for Amazon.com, as well as freelance reviewer for many other quality book review resources such as AuthorsDen.com. Ellen's honest and dynamic reviews are touted as some of the best reviews on the literary market today. So if you want to know what's new and exciting, read Ellen's Picks and Pans. Who are we? Where do we come from? Do we have a galactic ancestry? These and other core questions have plagued the minds of man since the beginning of time. Tonight we hope to shed some cosmic light on at least part of the infinite number of possibilities. My guest tonight is Sheldan Nidle, whose background began in the arena of political science and international public administration, along with a stint as Vice President for Scientific Programming at Cintar Productions. But somewhere along the way, Sheldan's mission became clear, and so he changed his focus and now dedicates himself to being an author, lecturer, and representative for the Galactic Federation of Light, and he is also the founder of the Planetary Activation Organization, also known as the PAO. Welcome, Sheldan.
Hello, I'm glad to be on the show.
Oh, Sheldan, it's such an honor for me, and I just want to tell our audience that it's especially poignant for me because Sheldan has graced me with a foreword for my latest book, which is called Hybrid. The conversation continues, so I am so grateful for that, Sheldan. Sheldan, let's tell our audience a little bit about your background. I mean, it started off pretty normal. We found out that we're both from the Northeast. I'm from Boston. You were originally from Buffalo or the Bronx, somewhere in New York, is that correct?
I was born in New York City in the Bronx, spent my first 3 years there, then spent the rest of my young adulthood and childhood in Buffalo, New York.
Amazing. Now, Sheldan, people would be most familiar with you because you've written quite a few books, of which I have read. Your First Contact, Your Galactic Neighbors, You're Becoming a Galactic Human. So there's a theme there. But you have a very interesting childhood. So you've had interaction pretty much right since the beginning, haven't you?
Right. As a matter of fact, my sister agrees with me that pretty much our childhood, really, our surrogate parents were the Syrians and up in the ships. We spent, the two of us, a lot of time up there, and we learned a lot. She got mostly stuff about metaphysics, and I got the whole broad spectrum or wide band of everything. I wound up about science, history, administration, culture, languages, sciences.
So you started having, would you say visitations, Sheldan? Is that a good way to say this, or interaction? How would you qualify what you did?
I would people who deal with this whole process like to call themselves not contactees but experiencers, and I'd say that I was very well experienced in this whole thing from the time I was a wee little kid. So, as a matter of fact, I considered it to be more the normal world when I was a child than this place. Exactly.
I find, too, in my research and in my interaction with people, and as you know, one of the first books I wrote, Lupo, Conversations with an ET, is kind of based on a true story about a young boy who was 2 years old and started back then. I wanted to ask you, because I know people are going to have some curiosity here, who are you? Who is contacting you? Who are you interacting with? Or who did you, maybe it's changed. Did you start off with certain beings and now it has kind of branched out?
Well, it kind of has branched out, but the initial being was Washta, who became my mentor when I was a kid. He was kind of the overseer of everything that I did up there, and I really found him to be a wonderful and enjoyable person. He was just the opposite of what everybody thinks of for Syrians or I'd say ETs. He was very playful, very wise, and extremely able to understand what I needed or what I didn't need when I was learning all this different material. So it was amazing. I mean, I was in this incredible place, and I had this incredible being watching over me. So, and he had an entourage of about 50 people, all different kinds of basic knowledge, science, sociology, psychology, culture, language. It was fascinating. I always had a feeling that I was not alone, and I always had a feeling that what I was doing was fun. There was never any feeling when I was up there that I was less than, or that I had problems with my life, or that anything was wrong. It was always very, very positive, and I really enjoyed that.
That's so nice to hear, because, Sheldan, we're bombarded so much today with all kinds of negative imagery, even through the film industry, probably for dramatic purposes, but I think there's an underlying agenda there as well. But to hear something of a positive nature is very, very heartwarming. Let me ask you this. Did you feel like you were being tutored, or they were mentoring you or training you for something?
Oh, from the beginning. They said that what I'm doing right now is what I was supposed to be doing. And, of course, when I interacted with them, especially when I began going to public school when I was 6, 7, and 8, the process in there was just the opposite. I was stuttering. I was unable to interact. I was constantly being pointed out by teachers and punished. It was torture.
They didn't understand you.
They didn't understand it at all, and when I tried to explain my experiences to the kids in my particular grade at that particular time, whether it was first, second, or third grade, the process was the same, and it kind of picked on me a lot. So I got picked on a lot. I got abused by the school system, and it was amazing that I was so advanced in my learning. I think it primarily was because my mother really was education-oriented and very heavy into reading and mathematics, and my mentors in space totally were into having me learn things in a very friendly and positive atmosphere. So it kind of countered that massive disaster that was the first really 3-4 years of public school for me.
Well, that brings up a very big question. Were your parents, pardon the expression, on board with this, or were they tolerant of it, or did they get it?
No, they didn't really get it till when I was 12. My mother amazed me. I got up one morning and I walked downstairs, and because I lived in this split-level house, and so we came down, my sister and I, and she was there at a usual place in the kitchen table, and I looked over on the stove, and then next to it the refrigerator, and she'd put things on the wall above the stove and also on the refrigerator, which basically were about Emerson and a different drummer and all this stuff. And then she, for the first time really in my life, she asked me, she said, which amazed me that she did this, "You're not from here. Where are you from?"
Okay. She was finally getting it.
She finally got it. But the childhood to them was probably very, very traumatic because of all the special effects that were happening. I mean, I had like a special effects movie going on in my room all the time.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you about that, but first and foremost, what was your answer to your mother when she said, "Where are you from?" What did you say to her?
I said, "Cirrus."
Exactly. And that's pretty much who you were interacting with, isn't that correct?
Right. The people from Cirrus B, I was reacting very much with them, and it wasn't until I was about 15, 14, when I was getting into science, I felt conflicted by the whole differences between the two, Earth science and their science. And so what I wanted to do was bring their science into Earth science, so I figured I'd have to let go of them for a while, or however it would take, and just go into Earth science. But I had a lot of problems with that. I can get into the whole bad story when I went to the University of Buffalo as a physics major, but that's why I wound up in political science.
That was a good move. Let me ask you something. When you were trying to learn things here on this Earth plane, did you find that your interaction with them, they backed off and kind of let you grow your human side? They were letting you try and react a little more normal human aspects of what you needed to learn here, or were you doing dual education?
Well, I was doing dual education until I got into the last years of junior high school and senior high school, because that's when I was really getting into science. Like when I was in 7th grade,